Good evening, bonsoir, bienvenue à la réunion publique le 6 de mai. Welcome to the public meeting on May the 6th. Please rise for the national anthem. We'd also like to do territorial acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge the city of Bathurst as the ancestral homeland of the Mi'kmaq. Today, these lands are home to a diverse population of indigenous and other peoples. We also acknowledge with respect the diverse histories and culture of the Mi'kmaq in this region. Nous reconnaissons avec respect l'emplacement de la ville de Bathurst en tant que terre ancestrale du peuple Mi'kmaq. Aujourd'hui, ces terres sont hôtes d'une population diverse, comprenant personnes natives du territoire et autres patries. Nous reconnaissons aussi avec respect l'histoire et les diverses cultures du peuple Mi'kmaq de la région. All right. We're going to go directly to the adoption of the agenda.
That the agenda be approved as presented.
All right. I'll need someone to move. Councillor Branch. It's going to take me a second. Councillor Branch, seconded by Councillor Willett. Are we ready for the question? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. All right. Ms. Parker, do we have any declaration of conflict of interest?
No conflicts of interest were declared.
Parfait. On va à l'adoption du procès verbal 4.1, séance ordinaire publique tenue le 2 avril 2024 et le 15 avril 2024. Madame Parker.
Que les procès-verbaux des séances ordinaires publiques datées du 2 avril 2024 et du 15 avril 2024 soient approuvés comme distribués.
Parfait. Est-ce que je peux avoir quelqu'un pour appuyer? Conseiller Knowles, secondé par conseiller Leblanc. Êtes-vous prêt pour la question? Tout ça en faveur, signifiant en disant oui. Contre. Motion adoptée. Consent to the agenda. So we do have public administration presentation. Ms. Parker, I'll let you take over.
First presentation will be an update on water and sewer rate change by Sonia Gauvin, City Treasurer.
Parfait. Madame Gauvin, je vais te donner le micro. Oh, vous allez en avant? OK. So we have a new sound system. Bear with me. Everything's different now. I have to scroll up and down to find your names.
So am I breaking the ice with the new sound system?
Yes, you are.
Oh, beautiful. So as of January 1st, 2024, we have changed the way we charge for water and sewer throughout the city of Bathurst. We made some changes on the residential side and a tiny change on the non-residential side. Now that we have pretty much completed the transition, we have small lingering items that we're still cleaning up. But we thought that with the first quarter being completely done, that we would present to council and give an update about how it's going and a few of the results that we have. So just to refresh memory, before the full city of Bathurst, whether you were residential or non-residential, were on a metered billing. So you had a portion that was a usage base, so depending on how much you consumed or used, and a fixed portion of it that was for your connection. Non-residential was the same format, and the billing frequency was quarterly, so everybody would get charged. We had 3 zones that were getting charged on a quarterly interval. This is considered a usage billing, which would be appropriate if we had a variable expense system. But after we did a study, quite a comprehensive study, we noticed that the system that we had was unpredictable, labor intensive, and expensive. So labor intensive because all of the over 4,000 accounts using metered system was a heavy administrative burden, as well as a lot of maintenance for meters for the dedicated public works staff. Labor intensive or expensive because too many meters required to be changed at a great capital cost, and as well it would have meant hiring more staff to be able to maintain. Unpredictable because the expenses for usage are 97 fixed and only 3% variable, meaning the city should have a fixed model of billing for most of its users. It's also very unpredictable because revenues are contingent on users using the amount of water that you budgeted for. So if they don't, then you have a decreasing, you have a gap between your revenue budgeted and what you're actually getting. Just to show how much we did have that gap, public works staff had to increase their flushings in part of the city that they normally never had to do before. So water consumption had really decreased with the recent years of increasing water rates that we had to do based on the metered rate. Just to show you how less revenue that we were getting, these are the unaudited 2023 results for the actual readings. So as you can see, residential accounts, we were getting 265,000 less than what we had budgeted in 2023 only. And the rest, yes, there are some variances, but altogether they pretty much balance each other out. So we do have a missing gap for 2023, and it's been the same way in every year where you kind of budget and you hope that you budgeted the right consumption, but you're never sure if you get it right because it's very, very dependent on human nature and how many people leave their water running or not. So this is why we introduced the fixed rate per unit based on that study. Because we're mostly fixed, we should go with a service billing, which means that you shouldn't look at how much you consume, but we should look at at the service that we are providing as a city. For non-residential, we kept the metered rate, but we changed the frequency to a monthly for everybody, because on a quarterly basis, if something happens in your household, if you're non-residential, 3 months is a long time to wait. For residential, if there's something going on with your invoice, 3 months to wait is a long time to wait. Now we have predictability on a monthly billing to be able to follow the accounts a lot more closely. And you kind of forget about it when you're only invoiced on a quarterly basis. You didn't pay it, you forget about it, and then you get your second quarter and you're charged 3 months interest. When it's on a monthly rate, you kind of don't forget about it and you keep going. So when we did the budgets, these were the yearly rates that were established. So we had one fixed rate that was for a single unit, a different fixed rate for 2 to 4, and then another decreasing rate for 5 units and up. So when we did the budgets, we were always talking about the yearly fees, and then you have those that are only connected to the system. If you're only using water, you're only getting charged for water. If you're only getting sewer, you're only getting charged for sewer. So when we talked during budget, we always talked about the yearly, but when you received your invoice, it would have translated into a monthly fee because we do charge monthly. So if you go for a dwelling with 1 unit using both water and sewer, is the equivalent of $2.26 per day. If you go to other municipalities, most likely you will not find decreasing rates. The reason why we were able to show decreasing rates is because if you have one connection servicing multiple units in one building, we have savings of one connection versus multiplying that connection. So we decrease the rates depending on how many units you have, to minimize the impact on citizens, but go to a lot of municipality. If you have 10 units, you'll get charged 10 times 825, regardless of that one single connection. So what steps did we take for that change? So first of all, there was a study. From January to September, we did an extensive research and data analysis of everything that we had. On October 11th, we made a public presentation, the first one, at a council meeting. On October 30th, we had further elaboration of that study at a public council meeting. November 20th, we did a summary presentation with the full change before the readings. On November 29th, we had the first approved motion for the first reading of the new bylaw. December 4th, we had the final questions from council answered, and we had an approved motion for the second reading. And then on December 18th, we had the approved motion for the third reading of the new bylaw and the budget approval for the associated revenues. So for those looking live on public or on council, it might look like we only started implementing the change after that third reading. But in reality, when we had the data that showed that we were going to go to recommend to council to go on a fixed rate, we knew that times were going to be of the essence. We knew that we wouldn't have the time to wait another year to take our time to implement. We had to move fast. So we didn't wait. As soon as we saw that it was going to be a recommendation, we started the implementation internally. So the data from Service New Brunswick provided us not only for the study, but it also provided us with the updated for what was programmed into the invoices. So we updated those constantly to try to get new numbers and try to revamp the whole system for the programming. We worked with the financial software provider to not only program every account based on bulk, because you can imagine that over 4,000 accounts, those were made in major spreadsheets and uploaded in bulk. They also helped us program new invoices based on the fixed rate versus the metered for non-residential, because those are two different types of invoices. We went where Public Works went on site at certain properties with the owners if there could be question marks on if you had one property with many multiple units on them. We had Public Works staff go to some of them to validate with the owner the count for the number of units that it matched in our software, and that they both agreed that it was the right count before we invoiced. We contacted all the pre-authorized payment owners for the opportunity to adjust. So those that are on a monthly, it comes out directly on out of their bank account on the 21st of each month. Some were over, some were under, so we gave them the opportunity to adjust. We redid all the new forms for the new discounts. We revamped the old ones, and we also did our best to do communications. So obviously public presentations that we presented on the previous slides were a big part of it. Information provided at the reception, I can tell you that phone calls started in October with the first presentation. I'm sure you guys felt it too. We felt it at the reception. We tried to answer questions as it was evolving the best that we could. Communications department had a pamphlet made that was put on our Facebook page as well as our website. The link was also on the back of the invoices. So every invoices, if you were a residential or non-residential, you had the changes in the back that were for you, and sent you a link if you wanted more information. So those were all set up for the change. And then we went live. So how did that go? So obviously, we had many calls. When we went for January, I can tell you that even before the first invoice at the end of January came out, we had some people coming in and calling in, either to ask questions or to pay for their full year even before they received their invoices because they didn't want to miss the early discount. We had apartment buildings, multiple ones, that benefited from that discount as well because they came before the deadlines. So I can tell you that once we posted the invoices, calls, and I'm sure you council members felt it too, a lot of staff felt it too. Yes, wait calls were longer and wait lines were longer. We apologize for that. We were expecting it, But obviously, when a municipality goes through a change of this magnitude, it does require a little patience on citizens, unfortunately, and a lot of gusto from staff. I can tell you that the two receptionists, the utilities clerk, and the financial officer worked and worked and worked for that, an unsensely amount of calls during that day. We had one day where we had 70 calls just coming on the voicemail of the utilities clerk. And she was spending the day answering the ones from the call before, but those all came in. So after a while, she had to put those aside to program the mistakes that had occurred on some of the invoices. So she did her best to return all of those calls and make changes to those accounts, which brings me to the programming of invoices that were misclassified. So when we pulled the list from Service New Brunswick, there's a column that gives you the number of units. But there's another column that we weren't aware about. If you own a property that you bought and was an apartment building, 2 or 3 or 4 units, and that's where it occurred mostly, but you're using it for a single unit as your family. You can go to Service New Brunswick and ask for an exemption, and you are programmed in the system as a residential single unit instead of a residential multi-unit. We didn't know that. It's like a code that's in a different column. So when the calls started coming in from people who were being charged 2, 3, or 4 units, but they were telling us that, no, I have an exemption with Service New Brunswick for 1 unit, we called Service New Brunswick, and they knew exactly what we were talking about because they had another municipality that went through the same change as us that had the same issue as us. So they quickly provided us with a list, and a little over 100 accounts had been classified as multi-units, but in reality were single units. The other confusion that occurred that we saw often was the monthly amount versus the yearly amount. So every time that we talked about council meetings, we were always talking about the yearly amount. But because we charge monthly, obviously people were seeing the monthly amount. So that created some confusion, some questions, not sure about how many units they were being charged for, understandably. If they paid for the year, you had a credit to your account. So when came invoicing for February, some that paid for the full year weren't expecting invoices, but they got one. It's just it was a credited amount. So some citizens thought that we were charging them again, but for the full year, not realizing that it was a credit. Fortunately, the system doesn't allow us to not put monthly charges. We do have to monthly charges for the way that it's programmed, so you will have a decreasing credit as the year goes. But it does cost that. The other issue with that is for the one that paid for the full year, they were calling in to voice their opinion about, well, I paid, that's a waste of paper and postage if you're sending me an invoice, which we completely agree, and we have a solution in the next few slides that we've been working on, but we completely agree that yes, we shouldn't have to send you an invoice if you don't want one, you're already paid. So the postage fees temporarily tripled because obviously we're invoicing every zone every month. So we are conscious of that. So the solution that we have will address that, but we couldn't implement it at the moment. Account cleanup popped out when programming. So both in the metered and the fixed, some of the accounts that we saw were being undercharged in the past. So some that saw a bigger increase, we realized that part of the reason was that they were being undercharged in the past because we didn't have time to look at any of the accounts. When we programmed everything based on a unit and got rid of all the old charges, then obviously those popped up because they weren't being charged on the old programming, they were being charged on the new one. So these people saw a bigger increase all of a sudden. For the non-residential, since in January, they were charged on the metered. Well, the last time they were invoiced, depending if they were invoiced on October, November, or December, the January consumption could be higher or lower depending on when their last reading was taken. But now we're on the monthly, everything is settled, everything is regular for everybody. So transition was not perfect. By all means, we don't want to say that it's perfect, that would be foolish. But I think that any municipality going through that change will go through hurdles. I think we did the best that we could, But I think that the most important is that we couldn't wait. We could have waited and ripped the Band-Aid slowly, but we had to rip it fast. Because the reality is, financially, we needed to have that influx of money to compensate. If we had waited, we would have had to charge more for the future months to make up for that loss that we had in the first months. Just let me show you now. So remember my deficit of 265 residential. So these are the new financial results projected now that things are stopping to move in the programming, because remember, there were estimates based on best guess scenarios from the data that we had at the time. Well, now we have a total of 5,681 accounts units in water and 5,615 units in sewer. So depending if you are a single unit, 2 to 4, or 5 and up, or infrastructure only, that multiplier changes. So at the end of the day, we have a projected revenue of $4,160,000. That's not counting the discounts, which I'll show after. We think that it might be a little, when we look at the trend on a monthly, we think we might be a little over that, but pretty close to that. When we look at the discounts, we have 84 accounts. Some have multiple units inside of them. We have 84 accounts that benefited from the early payment discount of 5%, so that equaled 3,462. We have 23 accounts that benefited from the low income discount. That makes for 2,079. We have guaranteed income supplement. We have 397 accounts, which is 88,752. So for a total of 94,000, we expect to have a slight variance coming in at July because of income tax season, when the new evaluation from your tax season comes in. So we'll round it to 100,000. So if we take the total projected residential sale of water and sewer, we had on the 2 slides before, 4,160,000. If you take away the discounts, we would have a projected residential revenues of 4,060,000. We had budgeted 4,085,000. We expect it to be, the variance between both of them right now is 25,000. We expect it to be a little less than that, but on a over $4 million budget, probably as close as we can make it. And it also means that we didn't charge $1 more than what we had to. We weren't looking to make a profit. We were just trying to make a switch from a metered system to a service billing. So what are the next steps? So the calls have reduced significantly, including calls for the leaks, because now it's only relevant for non-residential. If you look at public works staff, they haven't been going on to properties looking if the meter is broken, because all of a sudden somebody has a high consumption on their bill and they want to validate that it's not for a broken meter. They save all that time. Property transfers for lawyers are more efficient, because before you could send the form and you'd have to send it again with the last day reading. On some days we could have 10 closings on the same day. And most of the time, closing occurs at the end of the month, at the same time as our billing. So the utility clerk is trying to send the billing, and she may have in peak season 10, 15 closings in that day. So if you're the 15th one that came in and you're waiting for that reading to come in, chances are you might miss the closing. Now, as soon as the lawyer knows the closing date, we receive the request, we calculate the fees, final invoice is sent, lawyer doesn't wait after us at all. We don't miss closings. Staff has also finalized just last week a listing of all wireless meters that can be reassigned from residential to non-residential, because the more we have in the non-residential, the wireless one, the more actual readings we can get. So that will address two things. One, broken meters that we can't get readings, and we've been doing estimates on the non-residential because they are broken. And the other ones, we have some that we just simply do not receive the readings. So estimates would disappear the more we increase the wireless and non-residential properties. Collection is our next step as well, to be able to address. So this is all all good and fine, but if we charge revenues but we can't collect them, that's another thing. So that's something that we will be going to. And I know some ask questions about, with the new invoice, are people paying? Well, I looked this morning, and the April billing equated to $300,043,000. Well, the ones from January that didn't pay equates to $20,000. So it's about the same 5-point-something proportion right now that we have. But we have to remember that we had overdue accounts before, and if you came in and you paid, your payment is applied to your old charge before the new charges. So by the time they start paying on the fixed, they have to finish paying on the metered first. So we have those accounts to still deal with. So people are paying. And the last step, which is the one that I'm most excited about, that will resolve our postage thing and the paper thing, is the online billing. So now that it's settling, we are working on the online billing option. Those that do not want it, don't worry, we won't impose it. But for those that do want it, that would not only reduce the postage fees and the time to put them in, but the ability for citizens to view their invoices online, pay online on a direct one, because we see that some people use Service New Brunswick, their bank, but there's that delay between one bank and another, and then they're charged interest fees because we just simply haven't received the payment before billing, versus this way, your account, the amount would be applied directly. And for those that paid for the full year, they wouldn't receive that paper in the mail. They would just ignore that email that came in. So it was a needed change. We had to rip the Band-Aid. It did create some noise in the city, I'm sure, as with any big transition, we expected it. But we have completed the transition. The worst is, I think, done. Now we can move on to better cleanups and better management of the utility accounts. We are doing cleanup, and you can see that now things are popping up, and staff is saying, oh my God, I didn't see that before. Can I work on that? Because they can do cleanup now. And we have stable residential revenues.
Perfect. Thank you. We do have a question from Councillor LeBlanc.
Thank
I don't know where
you.
you are anymore. Sorry, you're all mixed up. Last time I came, you were all different places.
Next,
Just-
the wave now when it's us. Mostly comments, no questions. So if I understood your presentation correctly, if we, last year's model that we had tried to guesstimate where we were going to finish, we once again were off by about $260,000.
In revenues, yes.
In revenue, okay. So, well, first of all, I know how much work was put into this and the hard work of the staff, so thank you for this. Thank you for this presentation. I was really looking forward to receiving it, because like it or not, we imposed something on our citizens. We felt it was the right thing to do. I know I was getting antsy to find out, was it the right thing to do? But clearly, I mean, to me, the things that come out that are most impactful and most clear is we're increasing productivity and accuracy. And with the automation, we are really allowing our citizens, you know, we have more and more, we have younger citizens, younger families, immigrated citizens into the region. I think the online service is really going to be helpful, and it's really going to help reduce the amount of time our staff is spending on this. So for that, thank you. Thank you for the update. And if there is more, please bring it back so we can measure accordingly and make decisions accordingly moving forward.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Before I go to Councillor Burnett, so Madame Gauvin, I just want to clarify. So last year, for 2023, we had a deficit of 265,683. So
In
with the
revenue.
changes that we've done in this first quarter, we only have a deficit of 25,000.
I think it's going to be less than that.
Okay, that's an estimate.
And yes, and when I look at the non-residential, because January, some paid for 3 months of metered consumption, and some paid for 2 months, and some paid for 1 month consumption, it kind of filled in the gaps where it should all break even.
Okay. I was one of the meetings this past month, a couple of meetings with the Union of Municipalities, and this is one of the big things, is that the water rate and the sewer, because it's not the water consumption, it's the sewer as well. And every municipality has aging infrastructure. And for the citizens to be aware, we have $130 million of aging infrastructure in this city. $130 million. If something breaks, we're in a situation where financially, where do we get the money to fix it? So, these are things that we're trying to put into factor and to think future, long term, that we can manage to have a little bit of funds to cover some of these.
Yeah.
Councillor Burnett.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Thanks for your presentation this evening. And yes, we are getting calls still today, and a couple emails came in. And it's hard to even go to the grocery store without getting stopped by some senior said, my bill is doubled, tripled, whatever. And could be some of those lower rates that you mentioned that weren't correct to start with, and that the new rate is really putting them up. But the question I got today from somebody was they were away for the winter and they came home and they got a bill, and they're quite upset. And I said, it's a done deal. But the question I have is, these people are coming back to their cottages and their summer homes, and that are they going to get charged for the whole year, like so much a month, the same as the rest of us?
So they have options. In these cases, those that leave, typically what they would do is they would go out of the region and they would disconnect. So they would pay the disconnection fee, or we have some streets where the whole street disconnects kind of at the same time. The crew goes in and they kind of divide the cost amongst themselves. The problem with that is, if I disconnect my water at my house, I still had to pay for my connection fee, but they weren't. So that was going to get resolved regardless in the new bylaw, because it was something that was kind of an unwritten agreement somewhere that we resolved in the new bylaw. So that's something. So the other thing, they could still disconnect and not pay, and only pay for the prorated month that they are connected, obviously. The only thing is, would they pay more by going through the process of disconnecting and connecting? So at that point is, what do you pay now? And if you compare to what you would go with disconnecting and connecting, how much more or less would it be? So depending on where that situation is.
So if they stay connected, they have the same monthly as I do at our house.
Yes.
The other questions I'm getting a lot of are single people trying to stay in their home all by themselves, not using hardly any water whatsoever, and yet their bill is doubled, tripled. You getting many calls like that?
We did at first, but we also are getting calls from people. We have that misconception that because the way we were charging before, that it costs us less if you use less. It doesn't. We are charging based on a service, and we have a misconception that people that are using more water have more ability to pay, which is not also always the case. We have some families that we receive calls who are paying a lot more for water, and there was no way they could decrease their water consumption, but they were paying a lot more than their neighbor who maybe was alone and not in any financial issues. We got calls from people who were thankful that we reduced it, because technically on a fixed model, the people that are paying more are covering for the people who are paying less, because it's a fixed expense. It's an unpleasant reality, but at the end of the day, by looking at the way that our expenses were and looking at our charging system, if you're looking at a service billing, then it's fair. We have people owning apartment buildings where one property increased, the other decreased, and it balances each other out. Why? Because we went with the average of what everybody should pay. If we took the full expense and we divided it amongst everybody equally on what we thought was shared for the rate. So yes, it's unfortunate that some have increases and they can't afford it. But it was also unfortunate for the ones that were multiple in one household that couldn't decrease their water and had to pay more as well. So my heart is kind of going to both. It is that reality, unfortunately.
And we were short financially last year. Could we back off in producing so much water and save some money that way?
I will let Mr. Abernathy, I think, or Mr. Pettigrew direct to.
It just says management one, management this, so I don't know who's what. Six?
Six, sorry.
Okay, all right.
I think
Okay.
we're good.
Mr. Abernathy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The short answer is no, because we are already producing not enough water to maintain our system. So if we were to reduce the amount of water reduce the amount of water we're producing in order to save costs on the production side, we would simply have more boil orders, we'd have higher turbidity, we have low chlorine in the system, we wouldn't be able to maintain our actual network. So the shorter answer is no. Unfortunately, we can't produce any less water than we were. Yeah.
My last question is, we're saving money on maintenance and on costs to go in and fix and repair, maintenance, I guess. Are we going to take the meters out, or are we going to just leave them there?
Mr. Abernathy, your mic's still on.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. The plan for now is to leave the meters in place unless there is a faulty meter, a leaking meter. Then folks can call the city, and we will install a spool piece in their place.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right. Well, merci, Madame Gauvin. Okay. So we do have Mr. Terrence Lenahan in Jocelyn Michaud that would like to come and speak for the water rate. You're welcome. The mic is yours. This one.
Unusual experience for myself. I was on council way back 40.
I'm trying, hold on, I'm trying to get you the mic, podium. Okay, all right. There you go. Okay. My apologies.
Anyway, way back in 1975, 76, I was a city councilor at one time, just a young lawyer, 25 or 26 years old. So it's a good experience to come back before you gentlemen. It was a wonderful experience at the time. We were doing a lot of water and sewage expansions all over the city, pumping stations, and the local improvement was in South Bathurst at that time. We had done East Bathurst. So these were the beginnings of what we'd call the more modern Bathurst that we now have. So we were like at the ground level. We were changing everything back then. And of course, now those piping systems and all of that are now what you call the ancient infrastructure. Just like me, apparently I'm ancient now, you know. But anyway, I still feel great. 51 years of practice already, and I'll probably retire next year sometime when Margie turns 65. You know, that's what I told her. Anyway, I might have lied. I don't know. But anyway, we're here on one issue only, and it's definitely nothing to do with the whole flat rate that you put in. And if that comes and establishes less maintenance and less staff and all that to check out 5,000 different residences and so forth, that makes some sense. And there's some economies of scale and a lot of meters that have to be installed and repaired and so forth. Easy to understand that. I'm here on one issue. On the I guess you'd call it multiple residential units together, more than 5. That's what we're here for right here. And in particular, we take Mr. Michaud's building, the Westbound Apartments. There's I guess the number is 45 units, and 43 are bachelor apartments. So as you can see, and my math is off, but I'll explain that. It just went from $9,800 a year to $26,009, which is a huge increase. And of course, that's going to get passed on to the tenants. It's only, they're the ones, being billed, all part of their billing. The real issue here is, does it really make sense that all these bachelor apartments are being fixed at a rate that's $598 per unit? These are mostly single-person dwellings. It's around this city. We need an awful lot more units for people that are quite poor, low income, or on social services, or they just have been separated, and are single people that just live in, within their means. Obviously, the real life experience is when you're living in a bachelor apartment, you're probably in that level. You're in that social strata. And any increase impacts on people a lot. And of course, we're looking, as a city in the whole, we're probably needing another 1,000, bachelor apartments in the city, maybe more. So here, I think there should be a category that you probably should, and this is the only recommendation that we make, you just take the units that are above 5, or even a higher number. If you say 10 or 15, whatever the council decides, you put them in as a non-residential and keep the meters. I mean, it needs to be metered, and the water use needs to be paid. Nobody's denying that. But it would make more sense when you have a bachelor apartment, just using your common sense, one person in a bachelor apartment isn't going to use as much as an entire household. You know what I mean? It's just common sense. And mostly there's one person in each of these units. So all I'm saying is that there should be a resolution of that, because that's a very substantial increase. Like I say, it's probably 180. What I did is I took the $9,800, and it was almost 3 times, but it's really about 180%. But in the money, it's so easy to see, from $9,800 a year, which actual water that's been metered, to $26,900. Those are going to be the real factors. And of course, all of these people in these residents, they do not get that 10% for low income discount. It just doesn't apply in this situation. So it's nice to say it, but it doesn't apply to all those 45 residences. So all I'm saying is the solution that we're proposing is you simply say units over 5 units in the building that are all, all in the same water meter, or over 10 or over 15, whatever you want to fix, that they be looped in with the non-residential, and they continue to be metered. And of course, if you want to move the monthly meter reading, and they pay every month, that's a good idea. I think that's a real good idea. But all we're saying is this doesn't make a whole lot of sense that when you have a unit like that, the rate is just so high and cause such a huge increase. And all these people, if you want to provide for our low-income people, this is not the way to do it. It just isn't fair. And that's really all we're here for, is what's fair to these people. It's a very simple message. It can easily be remedied by looping those units, when there's more than 5, in with the non-residential, and keep the meters on. That's all. That's what we're saying, and I think it's an easily workable solution. I don't think the number of units around the city of more than 5 is all that. The people that have spoken to me, like Sam's apartment on King Street, the Gloucester, the Vienno, the old Gloucester, not Gloucester, the old Hotel Dieu Hospital is Vienno Apartments. And people like that have come to me because they knew from speaking to Mr. Michaud that we were going to bring this forward to council, and they're behind us 100%, because they say the cost of this just falls on low-income people and students. So many of the people in these bachelor apartments are students, and that's where they live. So I mean, you have to just say, listen, what are we going to do for these people who are students and low income? Obviously, this is a hard hit, and they're being hit everywhere. We all know that, so life is a lot more expensive now than it was a couple of years ago. So all I'm saying is that, yes, pay the fair share of water, but keep the meters on these units, and just do the same as you do with the non-residentials. Just put it in, just move them in a unit above 5 or above 10, put it in the non-residential category, and keep the meter. Don't and take a meter reading. There's not going to be that many that are being affected. This is our position, not very complicated, but we think it's fair. That's basically what we're saying.
Thank you.
That's it.
I do have a quick question. So the
Sure.
9,800 for the 45 units for a year,
Yep.
is that with sewer and water, or is
Yes,
that just
sewer
water?
and water. So-
Okay,
Yep.
so that's $18 a month per apartment for sewer and water.
I'm just looking at the total increase, really, but I understand, but it definitely gets passed down to the people.
No, yes, I do. By all means, I do. I just wanted to clarify something. I wanted to make sure that the 9,800 was water and sewer.
Yes, it is water, so that's.
Okay.
Yeah, the $598 is being charged for every single unit.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, but like the old bill, what he was receiving for a whole year, $9,800.
Yes,
for
9,800
45.
was the
Okay.
total bill.
All right, perfect. Thank you
Yep.
very much.
Yep.
Oh,
So it's a huge increase, but, that's
Yeah.
basically it.
Councillor Anderson has a question.
All right?
Thank you, Your Worship. I have a question. Has the rents for the occupants increased on a monthly basis?
Not yet, because you have to give them a long period of time and notice before you increase it. So obviously, I think it's 90 days or something, so it hasn't been done yet, because this was just announced, I think, January, something,
No, it was announced in,
When was it, when did it come into effect? I don't know.
came into effect in January,
Yeah,
but it was
that's-
announced prior to that.
I
I was
understand.
just wondering if the rents had increased, and if so, by how much as a result of the increase
I
in the
don't,
water rate?
I don't know the actual answer, but it definitely will be passed on to the tenants. There's no question
I understand
about
that.
it, yeah.
Another question I have is, are these buildings subsidized by the province?
No,
They're not?
No.
Okay, that's all I wanted.
no, it's just private.
Okay.
Any people that I'm representing here are just privately owned buildings, owned privately, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And there is no discount for low income here when you're in this type of a setting, you know, when there's 5 units or more, there's just none. Anyway, we checked on that right away, and it wasn't available. Anyway, well, thank you very much for your time, and we just think it's a certain degree of fairness is needed here for these single, you know, 1-bedroom or single bachelor apartments. It's just, they're not the same as a house. And I assure you that one single person living in a bachelor apartment is not a great water consumer. I mean, you know, you guys know the people that live in those units. And they're probably the lowest consumers of water that we have in the city.
Councillor LeBlanc?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Terrence.
Thank
Much appreciated. I think this question is probably more geared towards our staff. My question was, I know for single dwelling homes, I had asked this question previously when we looked into this. The base charge was somewhere around $400 a year or $100 a quarter. Am I correct on that?
I'll go and give the mic, Mr. Pettigrew.
You're questioning my memory. I'm not sure. Well, I'm not sure if Ms. Goya has that directly in front of her, but I think the average was. I can.
Well, that is what the base charge, the response you had given me at the time. My question is, when it comes to these apartment buildings, we don't do that per apartment. We do it for one base charge for the building completely and not the rest, right?
And it was depending on the size of the connection or the meter. So we have, if you're, forgive me on the inches, but depending on,
Yep.
I don't even know if, I think it's the head of the meter or the pipe, I'm not even sure, but there's a meter. I'm not for the engineering to determine when they put them in, they provide us of the type that they installed, and that was the base. So some were paying a large amount for the connection fee versus others that had smaller connection fees depending on that
Yep.
information. So for apartment building, it's probably not the regular household connection that you would have. It would be the one that was identified by Public Works that was installed.
Perfect. That was the only question I had.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much, and thank you for taking the time to come and speak with us.
It's nice to be back.
I know.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. So we have nothing under finance, Ms. Parker? Oh, hold on. I just gotta. There, all right.
There were no items under finance.
All right. I'll ask council, once you're done speaking, please hit your mic, because it doesn't automatically shut off, and I have to scroll up and down to find out whose mic is on. It'll make it easier, because I can only have so many mics, so then someone else gets disconnected while they're speaking. So we're adjusting to this new technology that we have. Okay. Municipal bylaws, 8.1, receipt of the Planning Advisory Committee recommendation. So revision of the zoning provision relating to parking and multifamily dwelling. Oh, OK, je vous donne le micro. 1, 2, 3, 4. OK. Monsieur Bouffard, vous allez rester où ce que vous êtes? OK. OK. Bon, vous êtes bon.
Okay, merci. So this is following the an amendment to the zoning bylaw regarding the parking requirements for apartment dwellings and also some development standards for apartment building in the central business district. So I did a presentation at the last meeting. So as part of the process, first thing, Council did ask the planning advisory committee for its view on the proposed amendment. So it was quite simple. So the committee, the planning advisory committee, sent a favorable recommendation to council concerning the proposed amendment to the zoning bylaw as submitted. So there was no condition attached. So it's a very basic amendment. So the PAC recommend the bylaw as submitted and as you have in your package.
All right. Anybody have questions? No? Okay. So we're going to go to hearing of objections or support regarding proposed municipal plan amendment, revision of the zoning provision relating to parking and multifamily dwelling. Oh, hold on. Councillor Burnett has a question.
Thanks, Madam Mayor, through you to
Yep.
the planning department. So somebody puts up a 40 apartment unit, you only have to have 40 parking spots? Is that it?
Sorry?
If somebody puts up a 40 apartment building,
Yes.
he has to have 40 spots?
Yes, right now with the proposed amendment, the requirements would be 1 parking space per unit.
Okay.
Right now, it's 1.5. So if you have an apartment, a 40 apartment, you will be required to provide 60 parking space.
Okay.
So with the review, we reduce the amount from 1.5 per unit to 1, as it is for a single-family home. So as I did mention the last time, we found it strange that the parking requirements were higher for a small bachelor or small apartment than for a big home where you have a larger household. So, and 1 parking space per apartment is consistent with most municipality. And as you know, as part of the Housing Accelerating Fund, HAT Fund, this is one commitment that the city has in its application. It was conditioned. It was mentioned that the city will review its parking requirements for apartments. So this is one small step, but down the road we are going to do a more comprehensive review of those parking requirements. But we are just correcting a small iniquities, if you want, in the existing standards.
So if somebody has 40 units and they got 40 parking spots, what do they do for company that comes along? Do we provide on-street parking, or do we look at where the lots are when you're recommending the building of such a building or put a structure? Do you look to see if there's parking for guests and visitors? Is that,
Again, it's not everybody who has a car. So again, the average, the requirements for 1 parking space will provide some space for visitors and so on.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mark.
All right.
For the proposed modifications to the zoning bylaw, public notice required under Section 111 of the Community Planning Act and pertaining to the draft amendment of the zoning bylaw were published. No written objections were received.
All right. I now invite members of the public to express their opinions to the proposed zoning bylaw amendment. J'invite les membres du public à donner leur opinion concernant la modification prévue à l'arrêté de zonage. Et pour une 3e fois, j'invite les membres du public à donner leur opinion concernant la modification prévue à l'arrêté de zonage. On n'a aucun. Ready to move to 8.3, first reading of the bylaw 2024-07Z?
That the proposed bylaw 2024-07Z entitled A Bylaw to Amend Bylaw Number 2008-01 entitled The City of Bathurst Zoning Bylaw shall be read 3 times by title as per requirements specified in the Local Governance Act, Section 15.3, and that the above-mentioned proposed bylaw may be examined by contacting the city clerk during regular office hours, and that the above-mentioned proposed bylaw shall be posted to the City of Bathurst website and Facebook page as per the Local Governance Act, Section 71C, and be it resolved that proposed bylaw 2024-07Z, entitled A Bylaw to Amend Bylaw Number 2008-01, entitled The City of Bathurst Zoning Bylaw, be read for the first time by title.
All right, I'll need someone to move. Councillor Burnett, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. Are we ready for the question? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Oppose? Motion carried. Draft Resolution 9.1, Amendment to the Municipal Plan and the Zoning Bylaw pursuant to Section 111 of the Community Planning Act, 911 Marmichi Avenue.
Whereas the City of Bathurst proposes to amend Bylaw Number 2006-01 entitled The City of Bathurst Municipal Plan Bylaw and Bylaw 2008-01 entitled the City of Bathurst zoning bylaw to allow the designation and use of the following lands as follows. Change the land use of a portion of the lands located at 1945 Miramichi Avenue and bearing PID 2003-5986 and 205-38278. For the purpose of the municipal plan, the land use is changed from commercial to industrial. For the purpose of the zoning bylaw, the zoning is changed from highway commercial to light industrial. The purpose of this rezoning is to change the use of the former Nissan car dealership to enable a workshop specializing in the manufacture and refurbishment of electrical equipment by two companies already established in Bathurst, namely Black & McDonald and Power Precision. Be it resolved that A. Bylaws amending the municipal plan and zoning bylaw be drafted for this purpose. B. The city clerk, acting on behalf of the council, see that the public notice prescribed in Section 111 of the Community Planning Act is posted on the municipality's website to announce the council's intention, the day, and place for the consideration of objections to the proposed bylaws. And C. Consideration of objections to the proposed bylaws take place at 6:30 p.m. on June 3rd, 2024, in the council chambers.
All right, I'll need someone to move. Councillor Branch, seconded by Councillor Legacy. Ready for the question? Oh, sorry. My apologies, Councillor Anderson.
Yep, just in regards to the recommendations that are in, are we looking at that now too, or not? Okay, because I noticed an error in that. We'll talk about it after that. Okay.
Yeah. All right, good. All right, so all those in favor signify by saying aye. Oppose? Motion carried. Tourism Accommodation Levy, Bathurst Hospitality Days. Ms. Parker.
That members of council approve a grant of $25,000 to the Bathurst Hospitality Days Festival from the tourism accommodation levy collected as requested during the regular public meeting held on April 15th, 2024.
All right, I'll need someone to move. Deputy Mayor Bullitt, seconded by Councillor Branch. Before we go to the question, Mr. Burnett. Councillor Burnett.
Thank you. How much have we given from the levy for the hospitality days?
25 last year.
25 and 25, 50,000?
25 this year, yeah.
25 this year.
Yeah.
It's not a bad deal when you say that, see their budget at being 600,000, you know, what the public's going to get for that investment on our part. It's really a good thing. And when's the dates again for that festival?
I think they're doing a 10-day festival with the bands. It's the 20th, 21st, and 22nd, but let me let you know, because it starts, thank you. July 12th to 21st, and they already have, I think it's on their website, all the activities, everything's planned for the, I think the 48 activities, events that they've got planned, it's all there on their website.
July 12th it starts.
The Friday evening.
Yeah, look forward to seeing people take their holidays and come home at that time.
Exactly, a lot of
Nice to
people.
see former students and people coming back. It's good.
Perfect. Okay. So, yes, yeah, okay, I'm good to the vote. Are ready for the question?
Question.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Oppose? Motion carried. T006-24, new 4x4 half-ton truck. Ms. Parker.
That tender T006-24 for the purchase of 2 new half-ton crew cab 4x4 pickup trucks be awarded to Lounsbury Motor of Bathurst for a total of $106,386 plus tax.
All right, I'll need someone to move and someone to second. Councillor Branch, seconded by Councillor Knowles. Before we go to the vote, Mr. Pettigrew.
Through to Mr. Abernathy.
Okay. 6.
Thank,
We're gonna have to figure something out with this. All right, Mr. Abernathy, you got
thank
the
you.
mic.
This is a standard purchase. We're renewing our fleet over a number of years. The vehicles are going to be replacing 2007, 2008 Chevy half-ton trucks, regular cabs. Those vehicles will be disposed of according to our disposal of assets policy.
All right, do we have any questions? All right, we'll go to the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Oppose? Motion carried. C001-24 compact track loader.
That the request for quote C001-24 for the purchase of 1 compact track dozer complete with attachments be awarded to Paul Equipment Limited of Balmoral, New Brunswick for a total of $146,488.01 plus tax.
All right, I'll need someone to move and someone to second. Councillor Scary moved, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. We have a question. Councillor Burnett,
Thanks, Madam. What's a track loader do?
good question. I was going to go to Mr. Pettigrew to go back to Mr. Abernathy.
Yeah, it's a great piece of equipment. I'll let Mr. Abernathy explain the benefits of it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Worship. So it's a skid steer, basically. It's a Bobcat track mini loader, essentially. So the attachments that we're looking to get with it are a grader attachment, a small dozer blade attachment, a snow blower, and there's one more. Oh, a cold planer. So a milling machine that'll enable us to mill potholes and such before and smooth out areas around cuts so that we can key in asphalt and do a significantly better job with asphalt cuts. We currently have a cold planer on a piece of equipment from 2003, which has recently gone kabee on us. So, so good timing to award this. So the grading attachment we'll be using for prepping asphalt cuts for both road rebuilds and utility cuts as well. So it's a great use out of that. The snow blower will mostly be used for clearing snow around fire hydrants in the winter, but also do some sidewalks as well. So.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so are we ready for the question?
Question.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carried. P001-24, new sound system for Casey Irving Regional Center. Oh, I see you lost your mic. Okay, there you go.
That proposal P001-24 for the new sound system for the Casey Irving Regional Center be awarded to Ivan's Camera Limited of Moncton, New Brunswick for a total of $181,083.37 plus tax.
All right, I'll need someone to move. Councillor Branch, seconded by Deputy Mayor Willett. Before we go to the question, we do have a question. Councillor Branch.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just noticed it's quite a bit over budget, and I was just wondering where the funds were coming from.
Good question.
I know it mentions coming from unspent capital, but I'm just curious what exactly that is.
Mr. Pettigrew?
Thank you, Worship. We'll go to Mr. Wilbur to give an explanation.
Okay. You've got the mic, Mr. Wilbur.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yes, we do have some capital funds that have been confirmed with the Finance Department that will be used to cover the remaining balance of the new system. And furthermore, we've yet to receive confirmation, but we do have some promising signs from our partners at RDC that we should have some funding that will be awarded to this project as well to help offset some of that cost.
No, that's good. So we're not putting off like preventative maintenance or anything. Oh, okay, perfect. Thank you.
Perfect. Good. Ready for the question? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Oppose? Motion carried. 9.6, appointment of board members, Bathurst Sports Hall of Fame Committee.
That Alice Mann and Mark Arsenault be appointed to the Bathurst Sports Hall of Fame Board for the first term, expiring on May 5th, 2027.
All right, I'll need someone to move. Councillor Hondas, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. Are we ready for the question, or do we have any questions? Oh, Councillor Burnett.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. When is the Sports Hall of Fame? Do we have that this year or is it next year? Or
Yeah, this year in November, right?
in November?
Yeah, should be this year in November. Oh, we'll go to Mr. Wilbur. All right, Mr. Wilbur,
Yes, that's correct. I can confirm that it's happening this November.
this November. Perfect.
Remember, we had difficulty finding place for the pictures last time. Have we enough space to accommodate new members?
Mr. Wilbur?
It's a very valid observation. Actually, we're in the process right now to look at adding an additional wall in the Hall of Fame to be able to add additional space and possibly some other digital materials and what have you to that space as well.
Thank you.
Councillor Hondas?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to bring you up to date on that, we're actually looking at building another wall. We're in the process of looking for sponsors for that wall right now. An estimate was made by Jacob Button. I think we're looking at around $6,000, give or take a few dollars. I know that we've approached the Kinsman Club of Bathurst, Rotary, and also the Richelieu, hoping they'll come aboard to maybe cut the, spare the cost between the three of them. I know the Kinsman Club, we've already put support that we'd go up to about $2,300. So we're just hoping that the other two groups will follow suit. As for the two nominees, Alice Mann is a retired teacher, big in sports. Mark Arsenault, there's two Mark Arsenault, so we don't confine. This is a gentleman that was at high school, but he's took a new job, but he's been in reffing and volleyball coach and reffing volleyball for a lot of years. So we had two good qualified candidates, and we've accepted there, and hopefully council will also nothing but good comments for the two people that were candidates for the new position. So we are in the process of meeting right now. We had a meeting a week or so ago, and everything's going good for the presentation. We are taking nominees until the 5th of June. So if anybody knows of anybody that's interested in putting a team in there, or a builder or an athlete, feel free to contact the city, and they'll give you the paperwork you need to put the candidate's name on there.
Perfect. Thank you for clarifying and giving additional explanation, Councillor Hondas. We'll go to the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carried. Okay, we're good. So we'll move on to items for information. Reports from administration.
There were no reports from administration.
Okay. Committee report. I think we have a committee report from Councillor Legacy.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to do a quick recap on some events that our youth committee, CoAction, has been involved in recently, and a few more upcoming. First off, I wanted to send a big thank you to all the restaurants and participants of the renewed version of Bay Breakfast. This year, with everyone's help, we were able to secure over $5,000 for each BHS and ESN.
Oh.
So really happy with the turnout on that. I know that it's been a couple of years since the last installment, but the community helped bring it back with open arms, so congratulations to everyone for bringing back a staple event for the region. CoAction is also looking to continue the community spring cleanup, which will be May 24th from 1 to 3 p.m., I believe. So if anyone or any business is looking to help get involved or support, then feel free to reach out to Shannon Levine, Audrey Ronalds, or myself, and I can get you in touch. I know they sent off an invitation to council to participate. I believe a few members participated last year.
Yeah, we did.
Councillor Knowles here, will it?
Uh-huh.
And not quite a co-action event, but since a large portion of the members were involved, I wanted to shout out the BHS musical Godspell. I know Councillor Knowles and I attended the Thursday showing, and very talented group, excellent program, year in, year out, delivers amazing products. So if you haven't checked it out, keep an eye out for the next one coming next year, because I know it's going to be just as good. As far as the pool committee, we're down to 6 members. We just lost another one. We had a resignation, so sometimes it's hard to reach quorum. So just wanted to do another shout out to have anyone interested, if they're willing to put their name in for that. That'd be super helpful. Won't go into too much detail here, but I will say that the 2020 year end is almost finalized, or it's already finished. I haven't gotten the full confirmation of that yet. And 2023 year end is progressing as well. The new director, Mr. Rashidi, has been undergoing some training with EPR, and they've started a brand new set of books as of 2024, which will clean up a lot of the issues we've been dealing with in the past, and making the reporting quicker and clearer, so everyone will understand a lot better going forward. Obviously, it's going to take some time, so we appreciate the patience in the interim. And just a small note on DBRC, they're on the final stretches of the land studies and the project building side of the old wharf property that they took control of, and they'll likely be coming to council soon to do a presentation.
Perfect. That's good. The Mr. Rashidi and the president of the commission came and did a presentation at the Regional Service Commission, and I think I sent that presentation to council for your review, but I think they'll come back to us as well. He's doing a wonderful job. It's going extremely well at the pool. And the finances and they're managing, they're being very efficient. So I'm so happy to see the work that's being done at that end. So good. And he's got a good council. So if there are people out there that are interested in wanting to sit on the commission, please call City Hall, let us know, contact Councillor Legacy. If you'd like to volunteer some of your time, certainly would appreciate you being able to take the time. It's for a really good cause and a good reason, right? A lot of kids use that pool. It's pretty busy. All right. Mayor's report. I did not have an opportunity. I was gone this weekend with Union of Municipalities. There's been quite a few meetings happening. It's nice to see, even with the reform, that all the mayors are gathering together through l'AFMNB, UMNB, and we are working together to make this province strong. And, you know, c'est quoi nos enjeux? C'est quoi les dossiers qui est important pour nous comme maire dans notre belle province, dont on a des belles rencontres, puis on a encore plus d'informations qui s'en vient à vous sous peu. So we will go to Proclamation Police Week. Let me just find it here. National Police Week, May 12th to May 18th, 2024. Whereas the Bathurst City Council would like to recognize National Police Week, May 12 to 18, 2024, and the week in which we honor the service and sacrifice of those law enforcement officers that risk their lives to protect our communities and safeguard our democracy. And attendu qu'il y a environ 69 000 agents de police qui servent dans les communautés partout au Canada, y compris les membres dévoués de la force policière de Bathurst, qui jouent un rôle essentiel dans la protection des droits et libertés des citoyens de Bathurst. Et whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the responsibilities, duties, hazards, and sacrifices of their law enforcement officers, and attendu que les membres de la force policière de Bathurst servent la population en protégeant la vie et les biens et les protégeant contre la violence et le désordre et en fournissant un service public vital. Now, therefore, I, Kim Chamberlain, Mayor of Bathurst, do hereby recognize the week of May 12 to 18, 2024 as National Police Week in Bathurst, New Brunswick, and publicly salute the service of law enforcement officers in our community and in communities across the nation. I urge all citizens to recognize these officers faithfully and loyal devotion